I want to do it. Just one more time. Yes! Woo! I genuinely think that speedrunning video games is one of the coolest hobbies ever created. Beating a game as quickly as humanly possible sounds ideal, frankly, mostly because I get distracted by new ones that come out and then I forget to make a video for 3 months. It's like a deck building poker game. It's hard to stop playing. Somebody make it so I stop playing now. But speedrunning wasn't just created as a means for people to engage with video games as little as possible. In fact, it's sadly the exact opposite. The world record holders of games like Mario, or the controversial Mario,
we did a full 6-hour stream of just me nutting.
Spend literal years of their lives playing the same game over and over to develop the skills needed to be mentioned in a summoning salt video. At least most of the time. But if you don't want to put in that level of work, and I don't blame you, you've got 3 options. Option 1, cheat. Although based on my YouTube watch history, it doesn't look like that's worked out well for anyone. Option 2, find a game that has never been speedrun and then just be the first person to do it. The downside there is that while you might hold the fastest time completing the game, you will also by default have the slowest time, and my broken brain will always focus on the negatives. I need to at least beat someone's time. And so we land on option 3. Find a game that is so easy to achieve a world record time speedrunning that you can tie first place with exactly 12 other pro gamers like you who also thought of this idea. That's when I saw this video by Storster outlining some of the shortest speedruns ever. Around the 12-minute mark, my ears perked up.
I have one more Game Boy Advance game today, and it's Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase.
Hey, I like Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, the game, is a 3D action platformer released in 2001 for the PlayStation, and that is what the entire Wikipedia page is about, save for this tiny section that says, oh yeah, there was also a 2D Game Boy Advance version released at the same time, and that is what we're actually interested in, and really only one specific category of the 5 available on speedrun.com. It wasn't too long ago now that I played a Scooby-Doo video game based on a different movie, and I even made a joke about speedrunning in that video. Let's go, speedrunning strats. There gotta be people who speedrun this game. 100%. I never actually attempted to speedrun that game because it would require platforming skills that I don't have and will never have. Unfortunately for me, Cyber Chase for Game Boy Advance is also a Scooby-Doo platformer, oh no. Mercifully, there is one speedrun category of this game that doesn't actually involve any platforming. And it's a speedrun that's exponentially shorter than this video I'm making right now explaining it. In fact, you watching this video right now, you could tie a world record speedrun of this game without ever actually playing it. And I'm gonna show you how. How are you doing, you wonderful nerds? Scott here. I hope that was correct ASL. I'm trying to learn this year. Let me know in the comments if I did that correctly, but either way, if you're not familiar, the Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase movie is about Mystery Inc. getting maliciously zapped into a video game by a phantom virus. Trapped inside of this game, the gang must beat it level by level so they can finally escape back into the real world. This is the core premise of the film. So the game adaptation ignores it completely. Well, okay, it doesn't completely ignore it, but instead of being trapped in the game, you actively choose to go back into it to fight the phantom virus. And after each level, you're spit out of the game back into a hub world that's just real life, only to once again choose to go back into the game to beat another level by your own will. A decision I cannot fathom because this is not a fun game. Well, okay, to be fair, Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase is basically 2 games. It's also literally 2 games, as we discussed earlier, but even just the Game Boy Advance version is 2 games in itself. One of them is a kind of fun water skiing and snowmobiling obstacle course that I was extremely tickled by when I first came to those levels. Okay, hold on. Wait, hold on. This is cool, though. So that's one game. The other game is sucks ass. You have to collect the arbitrary amount of Scooby snacks scattered around each level before the box of Scooby snacks appears. Getting to that box means you beat the level. Hooray! The very first level, Coliseum, forces you to collect 69 Scooby snacks, which is a heck of a way to open this game, but then the second collectathon level makes you get 146 of them, hidden amongst the pettiest forest I have ever witnessed. Fred, please, Fred! I only knew of this game by reputation, and I hadn't seen anyone actually play it before I jumped in. And as terrible and sluggish as the platforming is, there are some cute details, like how you have 5 lives because there are 5 members of the gang. And every time you lose a life, that character gets captured by the Phantom Virus, so you have to play as another character. Everyone has unique idle animations and outfits for the fun levels, plus, if you're scared, you can hide for a few seconds. It's just like real life. So far, in my venture to play through these old Scooby-Doo games, I have never been disappointed in how they embrace the large personalities of the characters and world. But I've always been disappointed on how they failed to make jumping feel good in a platformer. There are 6 levels in this game, in its entirety, and only 2 of them are the fun kind. You don't really fight enemies as much as you do avoid or stun them if you're quick enough, and by the end of the game, you arrive at the carnival arcade setting from the movie, where you have to activate a big magnet to disrupt the Phantom Virus for good. And in the final moments of the game, you have a lineup of suspects who could be behind this mystery, and you have to deduce who the culprit is via the clues you found throughout the game. At least that's the intended gameplay, and the speedrun record for plowing through all clues and bosses is currently set by Jamie at just 19 minutes and 38 seconds. But 20 minutes of gameplay is still way too long for me to master. Why do I keep making gaming videos? I'm so bad at video games. Thankfully, there isn't any % category of the game where the rules are to simply finish as quickly as possible without needing to fight the 3 bosses or collect the 3 clues. That would definitely make completing the game faster, but it also presents a problem with a quirk of the game that I haven't touched on yet. Unlike the movie, which has one definitive culprit, this dork, the game plays fast and loose with continuity. Any one of these suspects could be the real villain on any given playthrough. It's randomized. The only way to deduce the true villain of your playthrough is by finding the clues scattered throughout the bad levels. There are 3 clues, but you can usually tell who the culprit is by the first clue in the very first level. A flashlight? Who could that be? A red baseball cap? I wonder. Now, on one hand, this is a really cool idea. You start each new game genuinely not knowing who the bad guy is going to be, and you can still guess wrong if you don't have all the clues. But that's also the problem, right? You can still guess wrong if you don't have the clues, like say, in an any % run, that doesn't require you to collect any of them. Thankfully, the small but merciful speedrunning community behind this game have outlined different rules for different categories, and the only ones that require you to guess correctly are the ones where you do find all of the clues. And you would guess correctly anyway because you have all of the clues. In any other category, like any %, quote, time ends when you select a suspect. It does not matter if your choice in suspect is correct. So it seems like Mystery Inc. has finally adopted the strategy of actual cops. Either way, the fastest run in this category is still too slow for me at 12 minutes and 24 seconds by Kensher Ando. No, we have to go faster. We have to dig into the elusive, hidden 5th speedrun category for Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase. Password %. How fast is this category? Well, there are 16 entries, and the slowest time was able to beat the game in 10 seconds. There are 15 other pro gamers who beat this game faster than that. How did they do it? Well, as the name implies, this category allows you to use passwords to skip portions of the game. You see, the PlayStation version of Cyber Chase allowed you to save your game's progress by talking to Velma in the cyber hub world between levels, but the Game Boy Advance version does not have a save feature. So, if you were playing and wanted to take a break and come back to it later, too bad! When the game turns off, you lose all of your progress. Now, this wasn't uncommon, and a way to add save-like features to games that didn't have a proper one was to utilize the tried and true level select codes. Passwords you can enter on the main menu of a game to skip forward to where you were before or to where you want to be. I am all too familiar with secret codes in Scooby-Doo games. Write this down, write this down, write this down! And it just so happens there's a level select code to cut straight to the suspect lineup where, again, you don't even have to guess the culprit correctly according to the category's rules. Start up the game, enter the password as quick as you can, select the first person in the lineup, who cares, and boom, that's the speed run.
I think this is supposed to say who done it, which I think is very clever.
So really the only competitive element is how quickly you can type in this password while navigating the keyboard with a Game Boy Advance D-pad. Or in my case, my wife's DS Lite. She actually remembered that she has a Game Boy Advance SP, and I wanted to use it for this video, but we couldn't find the charger. We actually couldn't find the DS's charger either, but it still somehow has battery after the last time she used it, like 10 years ago. Either way, that means 3 out of 3 times I've had to play an old video game on this channel, I've used original hardware from her childhood. I love her. Just a quick update. I bought a charger off of eBay, and it works now, so... yeah. The first to attempt password percent was Neutrino in 2018, who clocked in at 10 seconds. And that record stood uncontested for nearly 3 years, until Bloody Sunday was able to get it down to 9 seconds, while also miraculously picking the correct culprit. Love when that happens. But actually, Bloody Sunday's 9-second record wouldn't place in first because less than 2 weeks earlier, Storster, hey, welcome back, Storster, got the record down to 7 seconds. Unfortunately, this run isn't available publicly anymore, so we'll never be able to dissect her specific routing. I even messaged her about it, but she understandably didn't save it on her end. Go check out her channel, though. Really great speedrunning history videos over there. But much like an episode of All That never aired, I'm withholding vital information. That one's for you 90s kids. 2 months before both Bloody Sunday and Storster's attempts, Doomtum submitted this run that changed password percent forever.
So yeah, disclaimer, if this is against the rules, then I can live with that. And that's that. That's like 4 seconds I split late too.
Huh. So clearly Doomtim was himself. I don't know if I'm pronouncing Doomtim correctly, I'm so sorry. But clearly Doomtim himself was questioning whether or not this run was even legal. You know, he managed to shave password percent down to just 4 seconds, but we never see him enter a level select code. So what happened here? It turns out that while the Game Boy Advance version of Cyber Chase didn't have a proper save game feature, it does have some kind of functional memory. If you input a level select code on the password screen, the game will remember that you did that between restarts, as long as you don't actually turn off the game. That doesn't really sound useful at first, because you would need to somehow reset the game without turning the Game Boy off and then on again. Thankfully, it just so happens that when you complete Cyber Chase, win or lose, it soft resets the game automatically. And because you didn't do a hardware reset, when you go back into the password menu, the code you previously typed out will be sitting there waiting for you, already written, right above this subscribe button. How did that get there? From here, you just have to hit continue, and you've skipped the most time-consuming part of this already hilariously short speedrun. So, was this strategy even legal to use? Well, judging by the fact that it is on the official leaderboard, the answer is clearly yes. Let's be honest, this is a bit of a meme category. No one is taking this too seriously, nor should they, except for me right now. With this new route officially accepted by the mods, There was really only one question left.
How fast can you mash your controller?
And on New Year's Eve 2020, JPin submitted this run. The fastest run up to this point was 4 seconds, and JPin shaved it in half. Just 2 seconds. Now, once the word got out of how quick and easy it was to get a speedrunning world record in Cyber Chase, everyone jumped into this category. Tons of people. Like, for context, the All Clues and Bosses category only has 2 submissions to this day. Regular Any Percent only has 4. Password Percent has 16, with 12 of them tying for first place, including one of them on original hardware. That's neat. Sorry, did I say 16 entries? I actually meant 17. I had the knowledge of my forebears, those who rose to this challenge before me. It's not just about mashing a single button. You actually have to hit a select on the password screen and then the A button on the suspect screen. So it's 2 buttons. But did I have the reflexes necessary for such a high skill ceiling? All right, I want to do it. Just one more time. After years of loving both Scooby-Doo and speedrunning, I achieved a dream that I genuinely didn't know was possible. I am technically a tied Scooby-Doo world record speedrunner. I even selected the correct suspect, not that it was mandatory at all. Sorry, Eric, looks like you're the villain of the story this time. Scooby-Dooby-Doo! And if you're thinking that this achievement of mine that I'm incredibly proud of is a little cheap and kind of silly, you are correct. That was the whole point of me doing this. I said so at the start of the video. But while I have been making a lot of jokes here, I meant what I said in the very first sentence of this video. I think speedrunning is one of the coolest hobbies ever created. And the people who actually put in the time to learn a game inside and out so they can perform inhumanly precise tricks under immense pressure are way cooler than I will ever be. I just wanted an opportunity to stand beside them no matter how hilariously small of a feat in this specific category of this specific game is. However, I didn't want to just leave it there. I didn't want it to seem like I was, disrespecting the speedrunning community by claiming to be a record holder after doing literally the bare minimum. And that's when I noticed that the All Clues and Bosses category didn't even have a 3rd entry. So I went ahead and did a run for that too to claim bronze. Yeah, that's right. I 100%ed this game that I have been complaining about for like 30 minutes out of respect for this community.
You didn't even know you could nut that high? It's actually faster to nut that high.
And I didn't even come close to the other 2 entries, but I guess technically I have a top 3 speedrunning record, at least until this video goes live and some of you beat my score, and that's fine. You know, just maybe do me a favor and submit a run or 2 that's also slower than my time, or else those negative thoughts will come back and I'll hyper-focus on how I'm literally the worst player of this game, and that's no fun for me. Obviously, that run takes longer than 2 seconds to do, which is why I have uploaded mine in its entirety to my second channel if you want to watch me beat this whole game. I had to upload it as proof that I did, in fact, beat it. But that's just the raw gameplay. If instead you want to watch it with my commentary over it, explaining what I'm doing, my frustrations, just going into this whole game in much more detail, I've uploaded that video exclusively to my streaming service, Nebula. I do this every time I make a video covering an old game, so there's also videos on Nebula where I beat Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed, the game, as well as Barbie Magic Genie Adventure. I did that one with my wife. And again, all of those, including this new one, are exclusively on Nebula. There's just something very creatively freeing on Nebula. It allows myself and my other creator friends to explore different kinds of content and topics. But Nebula isn't just about what I want, that's a part of it, but it's also about you. You get to dive into Nebula original series that provide a lot more insight into the topics that you're curious about. Are you interested in learning more about storytelling in video games, from Spider-Man to Outer Wilds? Good news, we've got a Nebula original series about that called Story Mode that I know you will enjoy. I like it a lot. And hey, I don't plug this enough, but I made a Nebula class that goes into detail about how I make my videos, why I do what I do, the types of gear that I use, the mindset that I get in when I start creating a video to the finishing product. It was really fun to make, and I love hearing all the stories of people who have watched it and found it really helpful and insightful. And I'm just scratching the surface here. There are tons of upcoming Nebula originals from all sorts of rad creators, and that is the main takeaway. Subscribing to Nebula is primarily about two things. You get access to premium, ad-free, exclusive content, and in doing so, you directly support creators like me, including literally me. So to those of you who are already subscribed to Nebula and are still watching this ad for some reason, thank you. Your support really does mean the world to me, and it allows me to continue creating and experimenting with different things. I didn't know I was going to make a video about this game. And to those of you who are not signed up to Nebula yet, good news! You can sign up using my link in the description, or nebula.tv/NerdSync, and you will get a whopping 40% off of your Nebula annual plan. That's just a little over $2.50 a month. Once again, that's nebula.tv/NerdSync, or use my link in the description to get your Nebula annual plan for just over $2.50 a month. And then have fun watching all the exclusive videos and originals and classes while supporting creators like me. Again, including literally me. A little peek behind the curtain here. I was not planning on talking about this silly speedrun history of this obscure game. I was working on a video about the weird world of licensed cookbooks, but that got wildly out of hand, so I decided to make a much simpler and quicker video about the times when Scooby-Doo crossed over with the Harlem Globetrotters, but then that also somehow spiraled even further out of control. And then I realized it was March and I haven't made a video this year, so I made this one instead. So I hope you liked it. Bye.